Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaboration. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Partnerships for Profit. I'm your host, Ana Del Rio, and this week we're joined by Iris Albizu, a Puerto Rican-born principal attorney at Albizu Law Firm, now based in Austin. Iris combines her passion for family and immigration law with a powerful mission to serve immigrant families. She'll be sharing her story of resilience, cultural pride, and building a purpose-driven law firm. Thank you so much for being on our show, Iris. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, I want to jump right in. Let's just get to it. You practice law across Puerto Rico, DC, and Texas. What has been the biggest cultural or legal shock you've experienced moving from one system to another?
Well, I would say the warmth of my people, right? Like people, like being born and raised in on an island where you have like certain kind of like lifestyle, more being more laid back, and then moving to a big city like Washington D.C., everything was so fast paced. People were like more driven into the business and how to make connections and network. And that was a big shock for me when I think that when I, from being having my own office with my father in a small town in Puerto Rico, then suddenly being Washington, D.C. with these people that were so driven about, a purpose, like more like networking and building careers. That for me was like, oh, this is a shock. And this is different from what I used to practice.
Definitely that island life to that big city. Very big. So you said that you started off in your father's law firm in Puerto Rico. So could you tell
Yeah.
me like a little bit more about really how you got your start?
Yes. So it's funny because at the beginning, when I was before I went to law school, even before I went to law college, I was never thinking that I was going to be an attorney. My father is an attorney, my uncle is an attorney, and they are like renowned and known in the in Puerto Rico be criminal law attorneys. But then when I was in college, I did an internship in Washington D.C. by the way, and I got to be in Congress and see how laws are made and the whole lobbying and the whole system and how laws are created. And that kind of like what ignited in me going to law school. I said like I really like this process and I really want to be and I think that at that point also I understood that lawyers don't need to be in certain way, that there are so many things that lawyers can do. That's how I got inspired. But then it just happened that I went to law school, and then my father and my uncle already had their office established, and my father let me like apply and do whatever you want, but you know that you're always like welcome here. So I ended up being with him and going to work with him, and I was doing more family law, more transactions, a lot of like sales and other things that were not like criminal law because that was never my interest. But that's how I started. So yeah. And so it was, I mean, I was blessed because I already kind of like had a place to go, but I had to grow my own little niche and my own little, practice because he was more focused on the criminal law, which I was not practicing. And I had to kind of like build my practice from there.
Absolutely. I hear that. So how did growing up in Puerto Rico shape your approach to helping like immigrant families and those navigating the two worlds?
It's interesting because in Puerto Rico we're American citizens by birth. We don't go through the immigration process, but I feel so much like an immigrant in the United States. Even though I moved from Puerto Rico to the mainland US, I feel so similar like my people because of course my language, Spanish is my first language. So I have that with the Hispanic community that I serve, which are like most of my clients are Latinos, Hispanic. Also, I mean, I'm a woman, I'm Black, I'm a Latina, so I have all the excess of being a minority. So I know how it feels to be female surrounded by men. I know what it is to be Black in a pool in a room full of white people. So all those differences I can relate to people because I suffer myself. So I think that I can relate to my immigrant community because of that. Because I even though again I'm not an immigrant per se, I did immigrated from my island to the mainland US, but I don't have the immigration issues that they face, but I can
Right.
relate. And the other thing, unfortunately, is that my husband is an immigrant. He's actually from Spain, and we went through the immigration journey, and it had been a journey for me for over 20 something years because when we had to do his green card, and then eventually we had to do his citizenship. So, it's also being there and knowing how how difficult can be, and you know the anxiety of going through immigration and making sure that you can stay with your family together.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm not an immigrant. I was born here in the US. My father is actually from Colombia. So it touches home a little bit, the whole immigration. I don't experience it myself, but I understand what you're saying. Like, when people see you, they see you as one. It doesn't matter if you're from Puerto Rico, but born here. If you don't look like
Mhm.
them, unfortunately, that's a touchy
Mhm.
subject. So maybe we should.
Yeah, I think
But I mean, you built your firm from the ground up while raising two children and then also going through the immigration with your husband as well. Like, how do you balance that with being like a powerhouse attorney and a mom?
you know, I remember. I think that in my career and as a mom, I realized after having my son that you need to ask for help, and if you cannot ask for help, maybe you need to hire pay for that help. And I think that I was kind of savvy into knowing because I mean I moved to Austin. I don't have family here. So and I had two little kids. When I moved to Austin, my son was 3, my daughter was months. And I realized I have to have some help. So I started looking into friendships. I started looking into network. I started looking into a babysitter. And I realized that I can't do it all by myself and I need help. When my son was born, I didn't understand that. I was like I wanted to be mama bear and do it all myself. And I understood after a few months was like I am no, I cannot. I can't. So I think that that's something that it clicked to me. Like say, if I don't have a tia, an aunt here, if I don't have my mom here, I need to find a mom. I need to find someone to help me out. I need to find two friends. I need an abuela. They don't know. I need to pay someone. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like, and I started looking for those connections with people to help me out and kind of like building friendships and community and if not to help, to pay someone that will feel kind of like family to help me out.
No, exactly. It takes a village, right? They say.
Mhm.
They say. So I mean, as far you learned that you needed to ask for help. I mean, a lot of the people out there are really, especially in this climate, are needing help, but they're finding that it's a little scary and that they don't want to put themselves out there to be quote unquote caught even just on the radar. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Do you find that to be like one of the biggest pain points of like some of your clients, like that fear?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people are, of course, are changing the whole way of how they do things, even going to like having family gatherings, going to public activities, even going to church. Like some people don't even want to, go to church anymore because they're scared that they might get picked up. So for sure, people have to change, their way that they live in fear of being detained and in fear of not being able to be there for their families.
So tell me what it is that you like, how it is that you helped them specifically to get over that
Uh,
fear.
So, I mean, right now, it's, I mean, to be honest, it's very difficult because it feels like no matter what they do, they can get it right. No matter if they're trying to fix their status and they go to immigration office, they're going to be picked up. If they have an immigration hearing and they're trying to comply and go to an immigration hearing, they're going to be picked up. If they're going to work early in the morning and suddenly they have a patrol car behind them, they're going to be picked up. So it is very difficult, to be honest, to be an immigration attorney during this time because it doesn't matter. And then you give them, oh, here are your rights. you have the right to remain in silent. You need the right to say that you want an attorney. But is that working? What we see in the news, like not even for U.S. citizens are respecting their constitutional right. So it is very challenging to encourage people, right? It is very challenging to tell people, everything is going to be all right. So the approach that I'm taking right now is people need to be proactive and they need to have a plan. It's no longer about, yes, you have a right, but it's also you need to be proactive. You need to have a family plan. What is going to happen if you're picked up? Do you already have an immigration attorney that you can contact? Does your family know where the important documents in the home? Does your kids have their passport? So making a plan, prepare for the worst, and not just about thinking, oh, you're on your right, because it seems like that is not working.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be proactive more into, you need to know, yes, how to protect you in case of a detention, but what's going to happen after that? You need to have a plan with your family, discuss it. If at some point you're going to end up in your country, do you have someone that can take you? Do you know where place to go? Do you have some savings? Does your family here that is going to stay have some savings or some means on how to make money? So people need to just be ready for the worst right now.
Just be practical. That's very important advice there. Tell me about a story about somebody that you've helped.
So we have been able to help people. I mean, there's so many. I would say that, right now it's very difficult to get people out of detention, but when we were able to file bond and getting people like for finally to be reunited with their family, like, I have someone that was picked up earlier this year and we were able to made a bond packet and he had US citizen children and while he was detained, it was hard because, and I learned this after he was released, but apparently so his sink at the cell that he wasn't working. So he was basically using toilet water to wash even his face. And did. So I was like, what the heck is this? Where we're living right now. But he got sick. But being that he was able to get out and he's healthy, because after that, I was like, oh my God. And it just happened that his wife was pregnant, and we received recently the baby pictures that she had the baby, and he's out, so he was able to reunite. I think that at that point it was worth it, the stress and the work. But yeah, it's kind of like shining right now.
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, is it common that the conditions are that way during, their holding? I don't know, what do you call it? Or
Detention.
detainment, yes.
Mhm.
Is there Are there conditions fairly poor like that?
There
Normal?
are places that the conditions are bad. There are detention centers that are not that terrible, but it's not the same. Like for example, I have one client that is detained right now. He's diabetic. At the beginning, when he was his health declined drastically because until we got the help that he needed, it took some days and some delay. They even had to put a protocol of checking his blood pressure, his blood every few hours after because it was out of control. So, I mean, he's receiving help, but it's not the same when you have the help at home and you can follow your own diet, and he's saying that his diet right now is not great and he's receiving medical attention, but I saw him yesterday and I look at him and like, oh, this guy, he probably lost like 10 pounds since the last time that I saw him. And those things are difficult, right? Because they are taking care of him, but might not be the way that he can do it at home with the special diet and things like that. So
No, yeah, no, I get it. Oh my goodness. So that's a really good story. I mean, it pulls out a lot of the realness of what it is that, that immigrants are going through, the challenges that they're facing. I mean, I feel like this is might be a stupid question for me to ask, but what happens like if they don't seek help from you?
some people, what I would say is that they prolong their detention because probably they don't know their option and they're trying to fight the system their own way, and maybe they just prolong their cases thinking that they can fight this alone, and it's not going to happen. Some other people, because also they don't know what to do, if they really want to just seek a voluntary departure and leave the country, they also need the guidance on how to do that. So the prolonged detention, or some people that might have a good case, they don't fight it because they don't know how to do it. They don't have the resources. So that might happen too, because you can find the deportation if you have a case that is, is strong enough to do it.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So it's very important for people, regardless of their situation and regardless of their fear, to actually reach out for help, regardless, ask for that help, like you were saying that you were doing and how you balance everything. But it's important for them to actually reach out for help, regardless of their fear, correct?
Yes, I mean, yes, even though it seems like hopeless sometimes, yes, I mean, I need to know their options and need to know, what they can do next, if we can say that.
Is it a rational fear for them to approach to have to come to you to come seek legal assistance and then for them to be fearful that they will be detained? Or is that an irrational fear? Do you know?
No, it is completely rational. And sometimes, like, not sometimes, like most of the time that when I do a consultation, the first thing that I tell them is like, this is confidential because they don't know who to trust, right? They might think, oh, this lady is just going to call immigration. I mean, who knows? But yeah, they do have fear, and they have fear of spending thousands and thousands of dollars on an attorney if it's not going to work. And it's difficult because in my profession, I cannot guarantee any results. I can see who is a good candidate and who is not going to be a good candidate. And I try the approach that we take in our law firm. We're not a volume office. Some people like just like, well, whoever comes, they're going to take the client. We try to take the cases that we think they are going to have some success, right? Or
Right,
they,
right.
even though no, it's not that we win all cases, but cases that we know we can fight and we are going to have success. But they don't know that because they don't know me. They don't know my staff. So we need to establish that trust. But yeah, people come very fearful of what's going to happen and if they're going to lose their money and their time.
No, and time and money are very, very, powerful, very important. So do me a favor and tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get their services from you.
Yeah. So my office is in Austin, Texas, but we can help in immigration in every single state, depending on the case. I'm on Instagram as abogada iris. Abogada is the word for lawyer in English. Abogada iris. You can find me like that. Also on Facebook at Albizu Law Firm. Albizu is my last name, Albivu. And then our phone number is 512-861-5638. That's our phone number. And then we're on internet, www.albizulaw.com. And Albizu, again, my last name is A-L-B as in baby, I-V-U. And with my website, there is some button there that you can call or like also like fill out an intake. If you don't remember anything of what I said, at least if you remember my last name, you can find me on the web. Like I'm everywhere. Like if you put it there, you are going to find me.
Yeah, it's a big. I would say it's one of the more unique names, definitely. So that's it is Albizu.
Yeah.
Perfect. At Albizu Law Firm. Thank you so much again for being on this show. And I hope that you guys watching enjoyed what you heard and learned a lot from this podcast. And have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you again, Iris, for being on the show.
Well, thanks to you for the invitation.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Take care.